Other interesting business news, you have Amazon to want to displace and replace 75% of the warehouse employees by 2033, and even a few more before then. So they are underway. Now, this brought to us thanks to Jess, who's a writer at TheVerge.com, and she says, quote, Amazon hopes to replace 600,000 U.S. workers with robotics, according to leaked documents. Job losses could shave 70 cents off each item purchased by 2027. So again, sounds like you're going to get their initiative is going to start, but they won't do a full rollout immediately. Which, again, it's an instance where to you and me, well, I'm pretty cheap, so 30 cents I think is still a lot of money because shoot, it's at least one gumball in my Blockbuster gumball machine. But in all seriousness, for average consumer, 30 cents is negligible to say the least. They would never notice it lost from their budget. However, when you're Amazon and you literally have, millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of packages shipped I was about to say every month probably, that cost adds up exponentially in the aggregate. Now, granted, this is going to probably blend into the ethics and politics and culture of the whole business world, but it's one of those things where I think the average consumer, maybe they would rather pay that 30 cents so that their neighbors have a job. I don't know. Let me know about that thoughts in the comments. Now, going to the article, again, the tech, you're going to see some of those robotics moving things around in the warehouse there already. Now, again, credit to Jess over at TheVerge.com, and she says, quote, Amazon is reportedly leaning into automation that will enable the company to avoid hiring more than 500,000 U.S. workers. Citing interviews with international strategy documents, the New York Times reported that Amazon is hoping its robotics can replace more than 600,000 jobs it would otherwise have to hire in the United States by 2033, despite estimating it will sell about twice as many products over the same period, which, talk about an insane sales growth strategy or just sales growth trajectory, double their sales by then. That's absolutely conceivable. Of course, Amazon is the largest e-commerce platform on the planet, and I don't see them going away anytime soon. Next competitor is Walmart.com, which is really bolstered because of the sales of, a lot of people are buying groceries on there. So, again, groceries are 1% to 2% profit margin industry average. So that's, terrible in terms of a business model. Now, they say, quote, documents reportedly showed that the Amazon robotics team is working towards automating 75% of the company's entire operations and expects to ditch 160,000 U.S. roles that would otherwise be needed by 2027. That, again, would save the company 30 cents on every item that Amazon warehouses and delivers to customers, with automation efforts expected to save the company, and this is that cost adding up the aggregate, $12.6 billion from 2025 to 2027. Amazon has considered steps to improve its image as a good corporate citizen in preparation for the anticipated backlash around the job losses, according to the New York Times. It continues saying, quote, reporting that the company considering participating in community projects and avoid terms like automation and AI, more vague terms like advanced technology were explored instead, and using the term cobot or robotics that work alongside humans. Get it? Like a coworker? Cobot? Yeah, that's not great marketing, but again, they have monopoly nearly. I don't think they don't really have to worry too much about backlash. They say, again, in the interview to the Verge Amazon spokesperson Kelly Nantel said that leaked documents reflect its perspective on just one team. And do not represent the company's overall hiring strategy now or moving forward. Yeah. Now, she says, quote, leaked documents often paint an incomplete and misleading picture of our plans. And that's the case here. In our written narrative culture, thousands of documents circulate throughout the company at any given time, each with a varying degree of accuracy and timeliness, unquote. Again, this is according to Nantel. She continues saying, quote, we're actually hiring at operations facilities across the country, and recently announced a plan to fill 250,000 jobs or 250,000 positions for the holiday season, unquote, which those are, any jobs are good jobs in terms of that'll be an opportunity for someone, especially during the Christmas season. Some people want some extra jingle in their pocket, pun mildly intended. But again, those are very, 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 as they said, they say holiday season. As it says right there, seasonal. You see the same thing with Walmart, Target. Most major retailers do ramp up their employee headcount during the Q4 because that's, they call it back in black for a reason. Fiscally speaking, that's where they become profitable. That's where they do a massive amount of sales. But again, those are very temporary. So it's funny she's kind of bragging about that. That's every year. And again, I'm not poo-pooing them necessarily, but again, you're comparing apples to oranges in this case. Now, they say Amazon told the New York Times that its executives are not instructed to avoid using certain terms when referring to robotics, and that community involvement is unrelated to the company's automation plans. They also say, quote, since no one else has the same incentive for Amazon to find the way to automate, once they work out how to do it profitably, it will spread to others too, unquote. This is from Darren, who's a winner of the Nobel Prize in Economic Science last year. not going to purposely butcher his last name, but it's kind of, I think, inevitable. Darren Asimogul, I think it's how you pronounce his name. He continues saying, quote, adding if Amazon achieves its automation goal, one of the biggest employers in the United States will become a net job destroyer, not a net job creator, unquote. Now, again, when it comes to robotics, employment, automation, another question will be, I now do wonder, is this technology so revolutionary that it will destroy jobs or will actually make new different jobs? Because again, these robots will be manufactured by a business. You'll have not just the maintenance of the robots in terms of, lubrication, but also have to deal with the charging of them, also deal with the software. All those are jobs. Now, software, a lot of those tech jobs have been outsourced to India, kind of like tech support. Although if you want great onshore tech support in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, higher topping technologies. But when it comes to these things like these robotics, they'll also be maintained. You'll have workers on site to actually take care of the robotics. And in terms of spreading like a ripple effect, I think this economic professor is obviously correct. Once Amazon finds a way to make this profitable, everyone else will do it. Now, many other industries, including the automobile industry, they're doing experiments right now. Most robotics are tethered. They're one of the biggest issues, the bottleneck in terms of the adoption of these robotics is, how do you have a dense enough energy unit to power these things? When I say tethered, it's a glorified extension cord plugged into it. Now, they're getting better, as you see on the screen here. There's some robots that have some batteries built into them, as we've had huge breakthroughs with lithium-ion technologies about the past couple years especially. But it'll be interesting to see. He said, oh yeah, there might be a backlash or protest. Or not he, sorry, the article. I don't think there really will be, in terms of one that would have such a detrimental effect on the business of Amazon. And I have to say that because there's really no major alternative to Amazon. If you want to buy a product online, unless it's a boutique item that Amazon doesn't want to sell, like such as ammunition or firearms, Amazon has accessories for that category. They have changed that. 10 years ago, they didn't have the accessories. Now they do, like, magazines, grips, and such like that. But pretty much every instance or industry in which Amazon.com wants to compete from a product perspective, they basically won. So in terms of alternatives, you could go to Walmart.com, but their platform, while they've made a lot of improvements, doesn't have the vast volume of sellers and options on it in terms of when you're buying a product. So it's a fraction of a fraction in terms of the variety. And I just think the average American, I don't know if they would actually go out and protest and just stop purchasing on Amazon altogether. That's something for them to consider, but I think the odds of that are relatively low. And it'll be interesting to see, again, can they get this to be done profitable? And then what could the public backlash be? But as always, let me know your thoughts, because I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.